Hi everyone, my name is Dominika. Welcome to Invisible Mindset YouTube channel. This channel is all about personal development, learning how to love every little part of your life, gaining confidence, overcoming challenges in life, and having that growth mindset. Every week, I'll be teaching you about a new topic. So without further delay, let's get started on today's topic. Hello everyone! Today I would like to talk to you about forgiveness. And forgiveness can be one of the most difficult things that we will ever have to go through in our lives. But I want to share my story with you so that you can maybe get a different perspective, what it is and what it means to forgive someone and how that can transform your life. Because one of the things that was holding me back the most in life, made me feel depressed, angry, resentful, frustrated, made me literally hate my life, made me miserable, was the fact that I was holding on to the past. So I want to share my story with you. When I was a child, I was back in Poland, because as you probably already know, but for those of you who don't know, I was born in Poland. When I was in Poland, my parents used to have a business. And they would go around different places around Poland supplying food to like hospitals, schools, prisons and all that stuff. And that business was okay, was doing okay, but we were doing really bad financially. My parents had a lot of credits. We weren't allowed to do certain things. We used to go on some holidays, but every time we would go on holidays, it was just to escape the problems, just to not think about what's going on back home. And oftentimes it was even because of the fact that people threatened my family, which even got to the point that when I used to walk home from school, I used to have to turn around and make sure that nobody would follow me. And we used to have this secret code between family so that in case some man or a woman were to claim that they are picking me up from school because of my parents' request, I would have to ask them to share the secret code. So there was a lot of trauma when it comes to that. Then we moved to Ireland eventually. And my parents used to fight about money all the time. They used to fight about money all the time. All of the struggles that they had, like they were bringing that with them in their daily routine, into their daily lives. And I would always hear my parents fight. I would always feel so anxious. At home, I never really felt safe because of the fact that they would always fight. So if there was any silence, it would be like waiting for a bomb to just start going off. A silence, waiting for something bad to happen. So eventually, my parents were fighting so much that it got to the point that my dad would go on these dating apps. And one of the times, he even asked me for me to show him how to attach photographs to an email, because I knew that deep down he wanted to send some photos to a woman, photos of us, the family, children and whatnot. And one of the things that happened after was that one of the days we wake up or we get back home. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think we woke up and he was already gone. And there was just a letter from him saying that he has left to England. So he has left us to some woman and he decided to just go there without saying anything. And at the time I was about 16 or 17 when that happened. My youngest sister was about 8 or 9. And I just couldn't understand how he would have done that to us. But then he eventually came back to us with an apology, asking my mom to take him back. And I just couldn't understand why she would ever want to take him back. So I was totally against it. And I told her not to take him back because the same thing could happen again. Then, eventually, after a couple of weeks, some letter came from the Polish government to my dad in relation to that business that was going bankrupt, that was already, seized, but they had a lot of credits that they need to pay back and all that type of stuff. Some letter came. I think it was for my dad to show up in court in relation to that. And so what happened after that was that my dad left. And he was gone for like a couple of weeks, for a very long time. And we all thought that he is in Poland. That's what my mom would tell me. And that's what my mom would tell all of us. That he was back in Poland and that everything was okay. And after a couple of weeks, my mom brings me and some of my sisters to our room and she says, Dad is not actually in Poland. He's in Malta. So she suggested that we can go there and spend the summer with him over there as a part of like a holiday. And, I obviously had some type of resentment towards him and stuff, but I felt bad for him that he was there all alone. And so I went along with my sister. And we got there, we had a great time, but we used to fight a lot as well because there were a lot of problems, unresolved problems. And my dad used to be very hot-headed. That's pretty understandable due to all the stress. But anyway, he was always, like most of the time, he was in a bad mood. As soon as we would make a tiny argument, he would just blow up. And at the time, my sister had a boyfriend back in Ireland. And he would call her every single day and ask, when are we coming back? And she would tell him that she's not sure. And he was asking, but when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And I guess he was very stressed out about the fact that she might never come back or something. So eventually he bought her a ticket back. And my sister decided to go back to Ireland. And I stayed with my dad. And one of the nights, we have decided to play some cards. And we had some drinks, sambuca to be exact. And the next thing that happened was that we got tired and we decided that we are gonna go to bed. And my dad proposed that we can sleep together because he was lonely. Okay, so I was like, okay, I had a bad feeling about it, but I said, surely nothing bad can happen because it's my dad. So I'm sure nothing bad is gonna happen. I just felt like he must be lonely. He must, he didn't spend any time with anybody for the last couple of months. So there is nothing wrong with me going to just lie down beside him. And the next thing that happened was he started touching me. He started touching me and I just froze. I couldn't believe it. All I could think about was, this is not happening. This is not happening. There is no way. There is no way. Eventually, I found the courage within me to get up and run out of that room and go to like my room, which was my room at the time. And he came running after me, and basically he was trying to tell me like I misunderstood it, that nothing bad happened, that I read it wrong, that this wasn't what he was trying to achieve or anything like that. And all I did was shout at him for him to leave me alone. It was like in the middle of the night. And so he left me alone. And the next day when I woke up, I took a phone that I had with me and I ran out of the apartment and I ran across to the other side. We could see like the bay and the little like beach. So I ran across to the other side of that bay. And I climbed behind those apartments that were there. I climbed up that hill to call my mom. I just ran and I got on top of that hill. I didn't want anybody to hear me. Just in case there would be anybody who would understand Polish, I just preferred to have this privacy. And I called my mom and I told her about what happened. But before I told her, I was still like fighting with myself. Should I keep it to myself like nothing happened? But I was scared that maybe something worse could happen. So I actually ended up telling her what happened. And I decided that I really I'm not gonna stay here anymore. I couldn't stay there with him anymore. So I told her what happened. And she told me that she had a bad feeling all night, that something bad has happened, but she didn't know to whom or what it was. And she said she would book me the very first flight. And I came back and obviously I told him that I'm leaving or whatever. But it was really, really difficult because even at the time I felt really guilty that I wanted to leave him. But I just couldn't stay there, which is pretty understandable. And so I came back to Ireland. And after that, one of my sisters was getting married. And she really, really wanted my dad to be at the wedding. But I personally thought it's not a good idea to bring him over because if he flies over, the police might find him and they might lock him up. But someone from my family decided to buy him the ticket. And he obviously arrived. We found out that the plane has landed, but we haven't heard anything from him that he has landed, that he's okay. And after a few days, one of my sister's boyfriend at the time, he finally found out that my dad got locked up in prison in Belfast in Northern Ireland. And so they were able to arrange a visit, I think 2 visits. And for the very first one of my sisters went and my mom. And when they got back, they were freaking out. They said it was so scary, and they were the dogs that had to check you up and you go through security and all that. And for the next visit, I was the one to go as well. I think it was me, my mom, one of my other sisters, and I think my youngest sister was there as well, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I think she was there. And so we went. And even though at the time, even after all that happened, I was still encouraging him that God is gonna look after him, that everything is gonna turn around, that everything will be okay. Even after all that happened. And I personally didn't find the security checkpoints that bad. But I guess I had other things in mind, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna act? Can I even look at him? I was sitting there at that prison, visiting him across the table, and I could barely look at him. I didn't know what to feel. My feelings were all over the place. because one part of me was glad. One part of me was so glad that he got locked up, because I felt like he deserved it for what he did to me, for all the hurt and past from all my life, and especially because of what happened in Malta. And by the way, nobody from my family knew about it except my mom, him, and one of my sisters. They were the only people who knew. The rest of the family didn't know that this happened. They were questioning me, why did I leave him all by himself? But I just decided not to share it with them. I couldn't share the reason why I actually left, because if I did, then nobody would ever want to visit him in that prison. Nobody would help him financially when he was there. Nobody would do anything for him. It's only logical, you know. But I was there in that prison, so a part of me was glad that he was locked up there, because I felt like he deserved it. And then the other part of me was so hurt that he was there locked up all by himself. I didn't feel like he deserves it. So my feelings were all over the place. And at the time, I obviously was coping with all of that. And the way I was coping with it was by smoking marijuana every single day after school, going out with my friends and just smoking so that I can have some fun and feel good for a little while. And I got so addicted to weed to the point that I had to smoke crazy amounts, and I wouldn't even get high. And eventually got to that point that I was really questioning whether or not this is good for me. Like, I couldn't even get high. It wasn't doing anything for me. And my friends were giving me mixed emotions, because some people were saying like, you know, God provided us all the plants, and marijuana, it's a plant, so it's okay to use it. But a part of me always felt like, yeah, but like, not every plant is meant to be used. You know, even when you think about Eve eating the apple, or you think about, you know, poisonous plants in the world, not every plant was created for us to consume. And one night I prayed to God, because I was so high. I was high out of my head. I was lying down in my bed. My head was spinning. I was so confused. I didn't know what the hell I'm doing with my life anymore. It got to the point that if I woke up the next day, I couldn't remember any part of what happened the day before. What happened at school, what I ate for dinner. I couldn't remember anything. My memory got so bad. I couldn't remember none of those things. Even if I focused so hard on them, I could not remember what was for dinner. I could not remember what I did in school. I remembered a few things, but I couldn't, like, I honestly could not remember, what did I eat yesterday? It got to that point. So one night I prayed to God and I said, God, I am so confused. There are people in my life who say marijuana is good because you gave us all plants, but there is a part of me that's also questioning it. And I am so confused. So I asked him, God, if this plant is good, show me, reveal that to me. And if this plant is not meant to be used and is not good for me, take it away. The next day I woke up, I could not stand the smell of marijuana anymore. I could not stand it. I loved it before. I was a really happy smoker. But after that night, after that prayer, I could not stand it. It was disgusting. I felt like I'm gonna throw up each time I smelled just a tiny bit of weed on the street anywhere. And so I never smoked weed ever again in my life. But I was still battling with everything that happened in my life. I was still battling with it. And so I continued visiting my dad in prison. It was pretty much every week or every second week on the weekend. So it was the strangest thing, because I would visit him in prison on the weekend, usually on a Sunday. And then on Monday I would go to school and people would ask me, how was my weekend? And I felt like I just had to lie that it was good. Like everything was normal. Even though I have spent the last few hours in prison visiting my dad. I didn't feel like I could share this with anybody. And my whole family was dealing with it on their own way, like in their own ways, you know? And nobody really talked about it, how much it hurts. And then my dad had trials in court. And at the time I was doing my leaving cert. So this is like the last year of secondary school in Ireland, which is like the crucial year for you. You do exams so that you can get to university after. And I was visiting my dad in prison and then trying to study, trying to figure out what I should do with my life. And then he also had those trials. And when he had those trials, I used to go, I went maybe to 2 or 3 of them. And I remember I even wrote a letter to the judge, because we all wrote letters to the judge, begging for that judge to just let him go, you know, even though I was going through all this stuff and he sexually assaulted me. I wrote a letter asking the judge to let him go. And eventually got to the point that the people here, like in the Northern Ireland, I mean, they couldn't do anything. So they deported my dad back to Poland. And he was there for like, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, or 4 years. And I didn't even speak to him once. I didn't even speak to him once because I was so hurt. And then later, my dad had all these problems, these court cases and everything. He was never in prison in Poland. They just allowed him to be home and, you know, to go to the like police station and to sign his name that he's still around. But he had all these trials, you know, all these court cases, and he would fight with his family and his sister and stuff. They had some problems there that eventually he even had a heart attack. And he got out of it. He got out of it, but he had an operation and he had to get like a bypass. And when he had that operation, I didn't even speak to him once because I was so hurt about what happened. And my family didn't understand what happened between me and him. They just told me that I'm a horrible person because I didn't want to talk to him, or I didn't want to spend time with him, or I had all this resentment. And even before he got deported to Poland, they used to tell me I'm a horrible person because I had so much hate within me at the time that I was just angry all the time. But the most annoying thing out of all of this was that I was a very loving person, but because everybody always thought the worst of me, I just gave them what they expected. I just gave them what they expected. And I allowed their opinion of me to influence how I was living my life. And eventually, a few other things happened, like my life continued. I went to university after that. And I didn't like my university. I felt alone. I felt isolated. I had nobody to talk to. Like, how do you even tell somebody that you just met? Like, all of the things that I went through in my life. And what I'm sharing with you, it's just a small glimpse of it, Let's not forget about all the details and all the fights and all the things that were said. But this is just an overview of what happened. And so I got so resentful and I was looking for a way out of that. I was trying, I was coping with it in my own way, which wasn't helpful at all. And it got to the point that I really, 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 really did not want to be alive anymore. I got so miserable. I became so miserable that every single day I would be crying. I would be crying every single day from so much pain and hurt that I was going through. I was tormented. I was miserable. I felt like nobody cares about me. I felt like I can't talk to anyone. I felt like nobody understands me. I felt hurt and angry at what my dad did. I felt hurt and angry at what I did and spoke to people and said to people. I felt angry at myself for my own actions. I felt like a horrible person. I hated my life. I hated my life. It really got to the point that I really, really, really wanted to commit suicide. Because in my eyes, the best thing that could have happened was for me to not be here anymore. Because I felt like if everybody thinks I'm such a horrible person, maybe if I kill myself, people will miss me, and only then I will find out who really cares. So I tried everything in my own way to cope with it. I was thinking, some like witchcraft will help me. I was thinking loads of things. I thought that this kind of stuff will help me, but none of it helped me. But throughout all of my life, throughout all of these things that happened, I still kind of held on to God in a way. But I was still angry at him, like, why would he allow me to go through so many things? I didn't understand, like, why things like this happen. I didn't understand none of it. I was like, I hated it all. I had so much resentment towards everybody and God. I was so angry. And it even got to a point that I prayed to God to take me away. I prayed to God to just take me away because I couldn't take it anymore. And that one night I prayed so hard. God really truly knew that if I make it through the night, tomorrow will be the day that I commit suicide. I was asking him that I do not understand how he forgives people no matter what. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't imagine it. In my eyes, this was impossible. But God came to me and He gave me a hug. And through that hug, without saying anything, He showed me that He forgives all because of love. All because of love. And He showed me that really the forgiveness process is the best thing that you can do for yourself in your life. Because when you forgive someone, you don't forgive them to still spend time with them or to just discredit what they did to you, but rather you forgive so that you can live in peace. Because when you're holding on to things from your past, you are becoming so miserable and hurt. And all of this stuff from your past holds you back so much that you're not living to your fullest potential, that you hate your life so much you don't even want to be here. And all of that is because you are holding on to that old story, all of those hurts from the past. So I decided to forgive my dad for everything that he did. And I decided to forgive myself for everything that I did, for hating myself, for hating my life, for hating people. I forgave everything. I forgave it all. And what helped me realize that forgiveness is the best thing we can do is the fact that whenever you forgive, you are letting go of what's holding you back. And here's the thing. I know that some things are harder to forgive than others, but truly, there is nothing that cannot be forgiven. And you know why? You know why? The thing that helped me understand why things like this happen in life, why things like this happen in the world, it's not because God allows it. It's not because God is hateful. It's not because God wants you to suffer. It's because of one simple thing. And the one thing is that we all have a free will. We all have a free will, and we can decide whatever we want to do. And God honors the fact that He gave us the free will. So He allows us to do whatever we want, however we want. Unfortunately, so many of us, every single one of us in our life, throughout our life, we misuse the fact that we have a free will. We use it in ways that hurts others. We use it in ways that hurts us. We use it in ways that ruins marriages, families, lives. But this is not because God is evil or because God wants this for your life and He wants you to suffer. It's because you have a free will. And all those people that have hurt others and did unimaginable things, murder, rape, like hurt beyond your mind, all of those people had a free will. And God honors that free will. Because the thing is that if every single time somebody did something bad, God was to just strike them, there would truly be no one left. there would truly be no one left in this world. Think about it. Think about it. I know that some things seem way more extreme than others, but truly, there would be no one here in this world if God was to come down and strike every single person anytime they did something bad. And this is so difficult sometimes. But I want to encourage you to just take a look at your life and realize that if you have a free will, so did the people that hurt you. If you are the one who hurt somebody, you had a free will at the time. And you just didn't know better. You just didn't know better. They didn't know better at the time. Everybody here is here on this planet for the very first time. And when people drift away from God, they do crazy things. Crazy things. So I want you to look at your life differently, from a different lens. And realize that if all those people had a free will, and this is why they have done it, you can grow out of that. You can forgive. You can forgive. And I know how difficult it can be. I held on to things for so long. But the thing is, if you don't forgive, you are gonna become so resentful and so miserable that more likely you will no longer want to be here. And life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. And let's talk more about this forgiveness, because when I say you should forgive others, it's up to you then if you want to keep that person in your life. God is not telling you forgive and keep that person in your life. By no means. By no means. The reason why you forgive is because you just cut the cord between you and that person, and you're free. You're free. So you don't forgive for that person to still be around you in your life. You can keep them around if that's what you choose. You know, if they're a changed person, if they truly changed, you might decide you want to keep that person, and you might want to talk about it with them or just let it go. But you don't always have to keep that person in your life. There's a line. Everything has a line. And God is not saying forgive and forget and be with that person. Forgive and forget and keep them in your life. You know, forgive and forget and give them chance after chance. God is not saying that. God is not saying that. But if the person is truly changed, you can keep them in your life if you wish. But forgiveness is so powerful. Forgiveness truly changed my life. I was so angry. I hated my life. I hated everyone. I hated myself. You know, I loved people. That was the problem as well. I loved people. But because I was so hurt and angry and resentful and lonely, I just turned that love into hate instead. I felt like nobody loves me. I felt alone. I felt miserable. But then, when I chose to forgive, I realized that truly, when you forgive, you can have such a beautiful life. You can live such a beautiful life. So I want to encourage you to really, truly try to forgive. And the thing is, there will always be more forgiveness to do throughout our lives. There are still things in my life that I need to forgive people for, or myself for, or God for. There will always be more forgiveness. It's a process. It's a process. The older we get, the older we become, We will go through things that will require forgiveness, even if it's just a small fight. Somebody makes a dent in your car. Somebody will say something that you don't like. You know, there will be a spouse that will cheat or whatever. There will always be more forgiveness to do. And when you forgive, like I said, it's not that you need to keep them in your life, but you forgive to truly cut them out of your life, to truly cut the cord so that you can be free. Because holding on to all those things from your past, it's not serving you. It's not serving you. It's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. You know? And if you are a person who needs help with that, I would love to help you out navigate this. If you feel like you don't know how to approach forgiveness, I would love for you to sign up to my consultation. We can talk about it, and then we can see if I am the right fit and if you are the right fit, like if we are the right fit for each other to continue working together. There is no obligation here at all. No strings attached. I would love to help you out. Forgiveness truly changed my life. The way I look at my life right now, it's so beautiful. Life can truly be so beautiful. And we all make mistakes. We all hurt people. I know some people do worse things than others. But we just have to understand they don't know better. Truly, some people will never know better. Some people don't know better, and some people will never know better. That's why it's best for you to just cut them cords, forgive, so that you can live a free life. I hope that today's video will encourage you to practice forgiveness in your life. And as I already mentioned, if you feel like you would like to talk to someone about it, you feel like you need help navigating forgiveness, I would love to be that person to guide you through it. Because as you already heard in this video, I really been through a lot of things. I had a lot of stuff to forgive, and I still have a lot of things to forgive. There will always be forgiveness to do. But if you feel like you would like to find out more about my services, how I can help you, I would love to invite you to a consultation with me. We can talk a little bit about what you might be facing right now, and then we can decide if we are the right fit for each other and see if we can continue working together. If this sounds good for you, in my description here, I'm gonna link consultation page where you can book a consultation. You can pick a time and date that suits you, and then we can talk more about it. And as I said, the consultation is no obligation at all. If you decide to not work with me, or after the consultation you already get the tools that you need, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. I would love to help you out. Life is meant to be beautiful, and you have to live to your fullest potential. You get to live to your fullest potential if you let go of the things from the past. So I want to encourage you to know that forgiveness is possible. Forgiveness is possible. When you forgive, your life will change. When you forgive, your life will change. Also, I want to mention, since today is the 1st of March, in a few days, we are going to start Lent. And I know that some people here who are listening, they don't know what Lent is, or they don't like celebrate or do Lent. I don't know how to call it. I am personally not Catholic. I am Christian, but I still do the Lent. And the reason why I do it is because for those 40 days, you can either give something up or start a good habit. You can give up maybe sweets, sugar, coffee, whatever, or you can start some new habit like reading the Bible or meditating or praying or, practicing gratitude or forgiveness. I would love to encourage some of you, if it feels right, for you, and you have never done Lent before, I would love for you to maybe try to do Lent for 40 days, and you can decide what Lent will be for you. One of the things that you could do during Lent is choose to forgive and practice forgiveness. Practice forgiveness and gratitude. If it feels right for you, you can go ahead and read some Bible stuff about gratitude and forgiveness. I'm pretty sure you'll find something there that will help you. Or maybe you would like to give something up. Maybe you are addicted to something. Maybe you would like to give up caffeine or cheese, dairy, sweets for a while. Do a little detox for your body. I would love to encourage you to take part for yourself. Even if you don't believe in God, this can be like just a challenge for you, a detox, or to build a habit for something beautiful to come. If you do something for a few days, for a few weeks, your life will transform, because it's all about building those good habits and about getting rid of those bad habits. So I would love for you to be encouraged and maybe take part in Lent if it feels right for you. Or if you don't want to call it Lent, you can just say, I am doing a 40-day challenge to maybe stop drinking caffeine, or I am doing a 40-day gratitude challenge. And you can go from there and decide what feels right for you. If you are taking part, please let me know in the comments. I would love to find out what you are going to give up, or what you are going to start doing for Lent, or for this 40-day challenge, if you prefer to call it that way. I would love for you to take part, because life truly is about building those good habits. And those habits really, really make a huge difference. So if it feels right, if you feel like you maybe want to practice more gratitude and forgiveness, take that on for the next 40 days. If you feel like maybe you would like to limit sugar, you eat too much junk food, give that up for 40 days. You can do it. You can do it. You're more powerful than you know. You're more powerful than you know. You can absolutely do it. So if it feels right, take part. Take part. Call it Lent, call it a challenge, whatever feels right for you. But do take part, because those habits truly change life. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. Thank you for allowing me to get vulnerable here. I truly appreciate all of your time. If you have any questions at all in relation to what I spoke about in this video, please comment below. I would love to help you out. If you have any thoughts, or if you had any breakthroughs thanks to this video, let me know in the comments as well. I love hearing people's stories. And if it feels right, if it feels for you that you would like to continue watching my videos, please subscribe so that you can come back and watch future videos. It would mean the world to me. And I do truly feel like I am living my passion right now, because I know that so many people need help and encouragement in life. Life is difficult, but we don't have to make it more difficult. We can build this emotional intelligence. We can build good habits. We can learn from one another. Our experiences are so unique. I believe that the power of someone's story can really change someone's life. So if it feels right for you to come back, you can subscribe, or you can just come back and subscribe in the future if that feels better for you. But I would love for you to stick around, because I have more and more great content coming. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope you guys are blessed. I believe that you have the power to change your life. If you decide to do it, it's all up to you. Everything starts with one decision and one choice. So be encouraged and know that forgiveness is possible, and that forgiveness can truly change your life. Thank you guys so much once again. Have a wonderful day or evening, whatever time you're watching this at. and I will see you on the next video. Bye!